I tried beating the Druid class in Terraria. This class is centered around using the powers of nature to defeat everything that crosses our paths. There is a plethora of brand new weapon classes, armor sets, and accessories to go through that completely change the way Terraria is played. Will I be able to complete the game in this video? Well, let's find out. The first thing I did as I spawned into the world was I chopped down some trees and then I crafted my very first Druid class weapon, which was the Acorn Stave. I managed to get myself the Heart of Thorns. I found a desert temple and managed to find a flying carpet, and once I came back to spawn, I built myself a tiny little home for myself and the guide. After this, I chopped down some ebon wood and crafted an ebon wood stave, and then I chopped down some mahogany wood, went into the underground jungle to get more spores, and I ended up dying. I crafted myself the Louis AFK house builder and proceeded to build myself a bunch of NPC prisons, I mean houses of course. I then bought myself some NTC bags and crafted a lot of seed weapons. So this is actually another class of the Druid class, which is seed bags. So essentially you have like the seed bags, you have these things called guardians, then you also have staves, and I think there's like other categories of weapons, but those are the primary three that we kind of get to play around with. After this, I built myself a massive boss arena and then fought a boss called Thorn. This was a fairly simple boss and had very similar attacks to the deer clops, so using the ebonwood stave we managed to take it out quite quickly, and once we took it out once, I actually fought Thorn a few more times in order to get its seed bag. After this, I went over to explore the edge of the world and found out that the extra ores the mod generated actually ended up breaking the ocean, making me need a brand new world. So I started up a brand new world because I had literally no other choice, and I quickly set up a starter base and transferred all important items over. I built an arena and fought Thorn again. I started work on a elevator but stopped pretty early after realizing it would be absolute hell without buffs, so I explored the left side of the world and stopped at the jungle. Oh, how much I love the jungle when you're unprepared. It's pretty brutal. I honestly hate the jungle in early game and early hard mode because all the mobs are absolutely terrifying. I crafted a Druid altar and crafted a moonflare stave. I then went over and explored the right side of the world and chopped some palm wood to make a stave out of it. I crafted a palm wood stave and Druid armor. After this, once it was nighttime, I farmed out for demon eyes in order to get myself some lenses, and I ended up completing the bucket of the chicken quest for an NPC that is actually added by this mod, and we ended up getting some reward items. I crafted the Eye of Cthulhu summon, and once it turned to nighttime, I went to fight the Eye of Cthulhu. Of course, this is a fairly easy boss, so we killed the Eye of Cthulhu quite quickly, and then I crafted a demonite stave and fought the Eye of Cthulhu a few more times. I crafted myself the Cold Blood Druid armor, which was crafted out of ice blocks and demonite or crimtane, and then I mined the elevator more and went mining. I planted some ancient trees and waited for them to grow and went mining. After this, I probably did the most interesting thing any Terraria player could ever imagine to do. I planted trees and waited for them to grow. Very exciting. They're not just any trees, they're ancient trees. I crafted an ancient stave, which sucks, even though I thought it did massive damage, but apparently it did not. So I just watched the trees grow for absolutely no reason. I went over to the jungle to get some mahogany wood and jungle spores, and then I crafted myself the mahogany stave. I went back to the underground to farm skeletons for lost souls, and then I went over to the corruption to craft the mysterious tablet. Now you may ask, Boio, what is the mysterious, silly tablet? Mysterious tablet, I don't know either. The mysterious tablet is crafted using 6 demonite bars and 4 small lost souls. Essentially what this does is it summons the Keeper at night. Now the Keeper is a boss that is fought after the Eye of Cthulhu, so of course that's just the next logical thing that we have to do. I attempted to fight the Keeper, but then got absolutely destroyed because I had horrific mobility. Just like check out what's going on screen. It's an absolute bloodbath. Yeah, nothing good for me. Right? Anyways, after this, I decided to go mining, and then I crafted myself ancient wood armor, which is worse than my current armor, so it was literally pointless. I am just spending my time doing literally the most interesting things for your entertainment. Using the Louis AFK prison builder, I built myself more NPC prison houses, I am so sorry, and then I chopped some more ancient wood, which was again pointless as the staff was absolutely horrible. Essentially, it worked like a glorified claymore, and it sucked compared to other weapons at this stage of the game. After After this, I went to go fight King Slime for his mount, and then I went to the Sky Islands hunting for cloud blocks so that I can craft a sandstorm in a bottle, but I couldn't mine desert fossils, so it was pointless again. There's a lot of mistakes we made in this playthrough, but hey, I guess you learn as you play, and in these learning lessons will stick with me for the rest of my Terraria journey. I tried to make a blizzard in a bottle, but I could not, and then I farmed skeletons for skulls for the rest of the time being, and after that, I gave up on quests. I built myself an arena within the corruption biome and fought the Eater of Worlds. Using the Demonite stave, we defeated the Eater of Worlds, and then I fought the Keeper and died of fall damage. I then added many more layers to the arena to prevent fall damage, and I fought and defeated the Keeper. This boss fight was far more challenging than all the other ones that we did before. I crafted myself Ebon Druid's armor, which was the next best armor that we can craft, and essentially it's just like the Druid class version of the Shadow armor set. And after this, I crafted the King Oak's Great Stave, which again was absolutely atrocious. It was bad. It was a bad weapon. Throughout this time, the Goblin Tinker spawned, and I crafted 2 basic Druid accessories. I got ambushed by a Skull Digger, and then got an Abandoned Teddy. An Abandoned Teddy is a pre-hardmode miscellaneous item dropped by the Skull Digger. Essentially, all it does is just it spawns the Keeper. Using the Teddy, I summoned in the Keeper again, but this time, as I was holding the Teddy, we actually got thrown into a full-blown cutscene, and she faded away, dropping a trophy and a circlet. After this, we got invaded by a goblin army, which was quite annoying, and it just like wasted our time. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it did slow our progression. And then I crafted myself some Lost Soul armor and a spirit bunny that I used till early hard mode. I fought the Seed of Infection, which was another brand new boss introduced by this mod. Essentially, this boss just flew around shooting little projectiles at us, but we took that out very fast. And then I killed the Eagle Crest Golem, which was essentially just another mini boss. After killing the Eagle Crest Golem, I went to fight Skeletron, and then I explored the entire dungeon. I got myself a Donjon Stave, which was extremely weak. After that, we got invaded by a goblin army, which was like, come on, we just had a goblin invasion. What is going on? Like, again, are you serious? But after we took that out, I went to go finish up the elevator. I went to go craft myself a molten pickaxe. I was up in the Sky Islands, just absolutely minding my own business. And then I went to go and craft a molten stave. I got myself the Stave of Grass and then crafted the Lunar Crescent Stave. The Lunar Crescent Stave is essentially like the Knight's Edge version of the staves. It deals a bunch of damage, and it is crafted at a demon altar by getting 4 different staves. So the Demonite, Grass, Donjon, and the Molten Stave. It's like your go-to before defeating the Wall of Flesh, so of course I had to get it. I then found a bug where you could actually reforge Druid daggers, which were consumable, so that made absolutely no sense because you could just get rid of them sooner or later. So I don't know what was up with that, but yeah, I figured that one out. For the rest of the game before the Wall of Flesh, I literally just spent setting up a bridge, and after that I fought the Wall of Flesh and I completely destroyed it with the Lunar Crescent Stave. Like, it was not a challenge whatsoever. It was literally probably the easiest boss fight we've done thus far. It went by in like a good 10 seconds. The Wall of Flesh was an absolute joke to me, and you know, I'm glad. It could have been far harder. We are now in hard mode, officially in hard mode. Do you know what else is hard? I mean, goes hard? That is right, the Boio plushies. First link in the description. If you want to support the channel, go check them out. But let's get back to the video that you want to watch. After this, I spent a bunch of time trying to fight the Wall of Flesh, way too many times than I really had to, hoping that it would drop its stave, and it did, but it would spawn under the ground, which would make it unattainable. And at first I didn't notice this, so I just fought the Wall of Flesh like over and over again. And I don't know, mod developers, if you can fix this, please, because I just could not find the stave at first. Maybe it's a bug on my end, but yeah, it really had me stressing out, and I thought I was doing something wrong. But yeah, then I went to go break some demon altars, which blessed the world with palladium, mithril, and adamantite, and some souls of flight. I went back over to the corruption, and I went to go break as many demon altars as possible because you know, the more demon altars you break, the more ores you can actually find around the world. So if you're ever having trouble actually finding something like adamantite or titanium, I just recommend you go and break all the altars in the world, except for one that you might need to use for crafting. So yeah, there's your little Boio tip of the day. Anyways, I did some basic hard mode mining, so you know, I got palladium, then I made myself the mithril anvil and pickaxe, and then I got myself a bunch of adamantite, and then I completely broke the queen bee with the sky staves that we got using some special knockback feature that weapon had. Like, the queen bee just essentially froze in one spot, and I don't really know what's going on, but yeah, stuff happens. Queen bee, I'm sorry I had to brutally torture you like this, but hey, I don't really like the queen bee. Who is a queen bee enjoyer? In the comments, write down if you actually really fight the queen bee. Like, do you guys fight the queen bee ever? Like, I don't really do that. For the next 30 minutes of gameplay, I quite literally did nothing. I just looked around and enjoyed the Terraria view. I looked at the sky, I went mining in the caverns for some ores, you know, just did some basic stuff. Sometimes Terraria does get a little bit boring, but that's just a necessary struggle of an amazing game. Once it turned to nighttime, we went to fight the destroyer and give it its namesake. We absolutely destroyed the destroyer. I know, funny joke, using the lunar crescent stave. This weapon just pierced every single little part of the destroyer and made the boss fight brutally easy. I could probably do it with my eyes closed, no cap. After this, I went over to kill Skeletron Prime and realized that the stave's knockback actually works on bosses as well. As you know, most weapon knockbacks do not work on bosses, but I guess the staves have like some special ability that knocks back bosses. I don't really know why this works, but yeah, that worked. And then after I defeated Skeletron Prime, I crafted myself a hallowed stave. Once the hallowed stave was crafted and we possessed absolute genocide in our hands, I bought a teleporter and hammered it because yes, I fought the twins, and then once we defeated them, we got a prompt that the jungle grows restless. Do you know what else grows restless, boyos? That is right, this channel. When you press subscribe, if you're enjoying this video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're now essentially ready to mine chlorophyte and progress to the stage of the game where we go and fight Plantera. So I went mining for a brand new ore called Sapphire and Ore, from which we could craft sapphire bars. Essentially, it's a post-mechanical boss ore used to make various different weapons, such as the sapphire stave and the full set of sapphire armor. While mining, I found myself the Hall of Heroes, which is essentially a structure that spawns underground. It is always generated in either the ice biome or the underground desert, and at the bottom there is an altar that drops a cursed gem when mined. Essentially, it's just like a cool little place that depicts 4 heroes. Nothing too like mind-blowing. It's not gonna spawn like Supreme Calamitas if I like curse at it or something, but yeah, that was pretty cool. I love when mods add like brand new generations. It's awesome. I made a full set of sapphire armor and I made myself a sapphire stave. I then crafted myself the dancing ring stave, and I found myself an abandoned lab, which was another generated structure. I got to the abandoned lab and got killed by the janitor. I got killed by a janitor. Now see, this abandoned lab is more of like a jungle temple than it is an actual little lab. It has very similar size to the jungle temple, so I mean, it's only normal that the enemies in this place will be absolutely just brutal. The janitor is actually a mini boss, so that's why he was so difficult. Like, he has like 12,000 health, so he's nothing to laugh at. After this, I went back to the lab, and then I managed to defeat the gen. I explored the lab and found a stage 3 infected scientist and the behemoth. These are all mini bosses, so I had to fight my way through them, and they were not easy by any means whatsoever. After I defeated the behemoth, I went back to the lab and grabbed myself a Gurious infector. I then set off the thermonuclear bomb in a desert and ran for my life, but I still got heavy radiation poisoning from the blast. Yeah, I mean, this mod is just beyond crazy, and the stuff that we're doing I would never think to do in Terraria. I mean, this is like an absolute nightmare. Like, I have no idea what's like this. Bro, we're setting off nukes in Terraria. Hello? What is going on? Excuse me, Boio is setting off nukes. Yeah, essentially we had 30 seconds to run and then the big boom came and we took a bunch of damage. So yeah, I then went to the site of the blast and found some brand new enemies. The whole area of the explosion was completely like terraformed, and I fought Kingslayer 3 and died a few times. This was just a brand new boss post the nuclear explosion, and then I went to the Kingslayer ship. I went over to the jungle and finally mined out an arena to fight Plantera. We fought, defeated defeated Plantera. It was probably one of the more easier bosses throughout this playthrough. And then I crafted myself the angelic stave. In late hard mode, we experienced the pirate invasion, making it just absolutely hell. This was essentially the same thing with the goblin invasions. Like, I don't know what was going on, but all these invasions were just getting on my nerves at this point. I then explored the temple and absolutely just clowned on Golem. Like, we had the angelic stave and the sapphire stave, and using those weapons, it was like Golem was just an absolute joke. But after we defeated Golem, we went over to spawn and I fought a solar eclipse. Back over at spawn, I fought myself the Wlich Cleaver. That is so hard to pronounce, but essentially this boss was just like one of those bullet hell bosses, and it was honestly quite interesting to fight because it was quite out of the ordinary. Most bosses really don't offer something like this, and it was quite challenging. I do admit it was challenging, but before we could defeat it, we ended up dying. The boss had a super fun mechanic of disabling your flight, and you can only fly if you get hit. And yeah, it also had a very cool feature where it absolutely demolished all of your NPCs. But essentially, after we got absolutely demolished and all of our NPCs got totally wiped out, I went over to the dungeon and farmed out ectoplasm. I crafted myself wisp armor and an ancient worshipper's tablet, and then I set up a sky arena for all of the fast late game bosses. I went over to the dungeon and fought the lunatic cultist, and due to our armor homing abilities, we essentially managed to never really hit the right lunatic cultist when it did its attack, and we just spawned a bunch of phantasm dragons left and right, and that was absolutely horrible. I hate when the lunatic cultist does that. And then I crafted myself the stave of life once we defeated the lunatic cultist, and the fruitful creation rose. I then fought all of the pillars, and once our screen started shaking, I came back to spawn, and once having Moonlord spawned in, I tried to make the best of the situation, but got absolutely shredded like cheese. Might I add, like cheese. This time I decided to re-challenge the Moonlord, and using the stave of life, I got a few more brain cells and decided to actually learn how to play the game. So yeah, we ended up summoning in the Moonlord, and we put him in the shredder this time, making him, sliced him up, put him on a pizza, cheese. Anyways, after this, we got a Martian invasion, which was actually post Moonlord. Like, we didn't really need this for anything, but it was very brutal. I don't really like the Martian invasions. We took care of it quite quickly. If our weapons can take out Moonlord, we can surely take out the Martian invasion. Yeah, that wasn't really much of a problem. And then after this, I went to go to the abandoned lab to grab some more loot. That is right, boyos, we are not done with the game. Once I came back to spawn, I crafted myself the creation Druid armor. I explored the abandoned lab a bit more and got horrible radiation poisoning and died because I took the pills too quickly, and essentially they failed. I crafted a xenium stave and xenium armor, and I used the stave for the rest of the game. This was essentially like the best thing that we could really use, so I went with it. Like, why would I choose otherwise? I then explored more of the abandoned lab and got destroyed by the Mace Project. The Mace Project is essentially another mini boss, and since it is post Moonlord, it is far harder than all of the other hard mode bosses that we fought, such as the Behemoth and the Infected Scientist. We are working our way to Patient Zero, which is the final boss of this mod, and we are so close, boys. We're so close. Anyways, once in the lab, I summoned in Patient Zero, which is the original Infected Scientist. I crafted the syringe pistol, and it was absolutely disgusting to use a syringe pistol on a boss, which is just like a massive eyeball. Massive eyeball, huh? Like the Eye of Cthulhu. This boss kind of looks like the Eye of Cthulhu, but green. Kind of looks like a baked potato, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, we went to take out Patient Zero, and well, we took it out. Brief interruption, second link in the description, you'll be able to find a tiny little project that I'm running, where each week I will recommend a brand new Terraria mod with all of the pros and cons of it, all the reasons you should play it. So if you're ever getting bored of Terraria, or if you want good mod recommendations, be sure to enter your email down below, join our list, and I'll be able to send you completely free of charge a bunch of mod recommendations and all of the reasons that you should play it. So if that interests you, second link in the description. But back to the video. Back at spawn, once it turned to nighttime, I fought the Wlich Cleaver again, and of course this time we managed to kill it. This was a pretty epic boss fight, but there is a little bit more left for this playthrough. I fought the Wlich Gigapede and completely wrecked it because it was actually balanced for the part of the game that it was meant for. And then I fought the Omega Obliterator, and well, I obliterated it. Then while at spawn, I got myself an item that would let me travel to a whole different dimension. Yeah, essentially I placed down a gateway and then transformed to the Shadow Realm. I have no idea what this mod is on. Anyways, yeah, we are in the Shadow Realm, and I spent the rest of the time exploring the Shadow Realm. Essentially, for the rest of the time being, I kept on exploring this realm and I fought a brand new boss called the Void Amalgamation. This was quite interesting, and once we defeated that, I went over to fight the Warden. We managed to take that out, and once I was back in the real world, I fought a boss called Thorn, which you might remember from earlier within the playthrough, but it was an enraged version of Thorn. It was essentially like the hard mode, extra super hard version of Thorn, and then I fought Eagle Crest, and then the Ancient Deity Duo, and I died a lot, all thanks to the Sparked debuff. I spent a lot of time trying to defeat the Deity Duo, and I was unsuccessful many a times, but we did manage to defeat them, and then I fought the Nebulous Angel of Cosmos and died. It was a very long fight, but we did manage to defeat it in the very end. After defeating Nebulous, the Angel of Cosmos, I was a little bit shook because it's probably like the hardest boss I've ever had to fight in my life. Like probably the hardest boss fight I've ever done was like Expert Mode Eye of Cthulhu. So yeah, for me, this was quite the challenge. Anyways, it was amazing. Thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to check out another video like this on screen. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. This has been Boio. Peace out.